Good afternoon. Welcome to Halftime Report. I'm Sonia. With me is Ekta and Mangalam. And as you can see, we are here in our holy finery. It is the festive season. And you can see it on the screen as well. I mean, the market is up and away. And the market hasn't given up on any of its gains. That's the best part of today. It's been stable as can be. The bulls are back. Whether they are back temporarily, whether it's transient, is it permanent, that time will tell. But for now, the bulls are enjoying the gains that we're seeing on the screen. A pretty good day so far.
Pretty good day so far. You said that's the best part of the day. You know what the best part of the day is?
That there's a holiday tomorrow.
Well, go ahead, Ekta.
Absolutely. I mean, we're just clutching onto straws. It's one day which is off, but nonetheless, after that, we have 3 days working. But
at that point, cold water and enthusiasm, right?
One day in a 5-day week is 20%. So I'll take that 20%. I'm good.
But you know what? Midweek holidays kind of also throw you off guard because on Holi you have so much to do, right?
Yeah.
So many, there's so much happening, festivities, and then again by the evening you have to prepare for next day.
No, but nonetheless, on Wednesday you just come back to work thinking it's a Monday, and then you reset yourself for the entire week. But nonetheless,
all right.
I'm okay with whatever holiday I get.
The cheer is definitely green in terms of the markets at this point in time. We have the Nifty, which is above key levels such as the 20-day moving average as well as the 200-day moving average. The next port of call in terms of levels would definitely be the 50 DMA as well as the 100 DMA. But it seems as though there is definitely one theme which is playing on, which is risk on, which is back on. Adani stocks have been gaining. We have a lot of gains which are sector agnostic at this point in time. But we do have a couple of stocks which are sulking, such as Britannia as well as Nykaa, most of them on brokerage reports. And the entire oil and gas space is in focus on account of news as well. So that seems to be the larger theme which is playing out, Mangalam.
Yes, that is. And, you know, the broader market is doing extremely well as well, in line with the frontline indices, which is the Nifty as well as the Sensex. The Nifty Bank, however, has come off mildly from the highs, and that is something that I'll be watching out for more so also because towards the end of today's trading session, we'll have the Fin Nifty expiry play out. Fin Nifty expiry usually happens on Tuesday, but this time around, because Tuesday is a holiday, as we discussed at the start of the show, we have that playing out today. So let's kickstart the show with a bunch of stocks which are not doing well, despite the fact that the entire market is doing extremely well. Britannia is one such. Why is that? Because CLSA, which already had an underperformed rating on the stock, has further downgraded the stock to sell. They have a target price of 4,060 odd rupees. Why is it that they are circumspect on the prospects? One is that they believe that the inflation in wheat as well as milk may pose a risk to their margins, so much so that the consensus margin expectations of next year may be under pressure itself. As a result of which, they believe that there could be some downside risk. Apart from that, they expect growth in FY24 to be volume-led as against price-led, which was in the last couple of years because of high raw material inflation. And the 30% up move that we've seen in Britannia over the last 12 months leaves little room for upside. They've cut their FY23 to FY25 EPS estimates by 1 to 11 odd percent. But it will be important to see where the stock goes from here, primarily because raw material prices have actually cooled off as well. Wheat is down 32% from the top. And will the margins continue to expand or not is the big question. Last quarter, they did 19%, and the consensus for next year is 17.5%.
Okay, so that's on Britannia. But, I'm very interested in Nykaa because I was going through that Macquarie report, and they make 2 points, right? Yep. They, of course, talk about competition, which is in the form of Reliance, Astera, but also on the fashion business, they're saying that now people are going out and shopping, not as much e-commerce. So that's a big threat. That
is a big threat. In fact, so the two things that you spoke about, the two big growth drivers for Nykaa, one is their core beauty business. The second one is the growing fashion business. On both of them, they are a little uncomfortable. They've initiated with underperform and a target price of 115. Remember, the stock has already corrected a fair bit from the peak, over 60%. They say the risk in the beauty segment, which is the core of their business, is on the margin front. Why? Because now the next leg of growth will come in from smaller towns. The company will expand, offline as well. And then the competition threat would keep the margins in check. The revenue driver of the company would have been the fashion business. Out there, their physical retail experience says that, the company's own brand focus and curation-led positioning in the fashion business, which is other brands coming in on their platform and then their own brands, all of this at a time when people are shopping offline as well, could impact their growth. And over and above all of this, they don't have, because it's a newer company, they don't have a long operating history. So limited operating history plus need for investments in growth makes them cautious on their EPS estimates. So which is why they are a little circumspect.
Okay, well, that seems to be the theme playing out across probably the Swiggies and the Zomatos of the world as well, that everyone's just eating out, shopping out, you know, so that's return to normalcy.
But, you know, to be fair, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but now even when I go to shop outside, it's so hard because there's A, hardly any stock at the retail outlets, and B, there's so many other issues like traffic, parking and all of that. You prefer to shop online in any case. So I don't think these fashion e-commerce platforms have to worry too much about that.
They don't have to worry. You know, it's a function of whether you have clarity of what you want versus whether you want discoverability. So if I don't know what I'm buying, so I'll just go online, look at the broad portfolio, brochure, etc., and then select whatever I like. But if I know exactly what I'm buying and the store is on my way to some place, I'll probably go there, walk in, walk out. That'll be much faster because out here, at least I get the product immediately and I know what I want. As against online, where I don't know, I'll just enjoy the window surfing online.
Which is what women like to do.
Men as well, right?
The key factor is also discounting. How much is available online and how much is available
to be very honest, discounting has reduced so much. Back in the day, online meant a lot of discounts. Now, sometimes online is also at a premium because they promise quick delivery in your house and all of that and stuff. So the discounting actually has narrowed over the last few years, at least in the metros.
So there are arguments both ways, I guess.
And that's not the case. That's not the case with diagnostics, but that's a whole different discussion. But nonetheless, let's move on then. Anil Agarwal, the founder and chairman of mining company Vedanta, is extremely confident about the company's financial health. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18's Nigel D'Souza, Agarwal said with $30 billion in revenue, $9 billion in profit, Vedanta has enough internal accruals to repay debt and even raise fresh funds.
Very comfortable, every penny has been made. So there is no question. We have, number one, we have enough internal accrual to take care of all our debt payment. On the parallel, we have enough resources to raise debt, which is the regular business of ours, to make sure that each payment is made on time. Last 15 years, never this kind of raise, never been company was such a good shape.
Yeah, right.
And never been this question been asked.
Right. You know, Mr. Agarwal, your Vedanta resources, normally all the payments, if I look at the previous quarters, you have made it in advance and by a good margin. And this time around, there are a couple of payments that are coming up, say, in the next couple of months, which they're still outstanding. So that's why the street is a little bit jittery on Vedanta resources. But you're telling us that you're confident you're going to be making those payments?
More than confident. More than confident. As far as the bond is concerned, sometimes there is an opportunity people to make money. When people to make money, where you will get this kind of yield? A common man should buy this bond because this is a 50% gain. Because this is the greatest opportunity. To make money on Vedanta bond?
That's a really confident Anil Agarwal saying that payments are coming in on time and not worried about. This is the best shape that the company has been in a while. And refuting a lot of rumors as well. Let's slip into a quick break. On the other side, we'll focus on more stocks that are gaining in trade on the back of news updates. Stay tuned.
यूं ही नहीं मैं बन जाता हूं। कुदरत के कोने कोने से खूबियां खोज लाता हूं। गुणवत्ता की गहराइयों का गोताखोर हूं मैं। पर की नई ऊंचाइयों को छूना चाहता हूं मैं। यूं ही नहीं मैं रजनीगंधा बन जाता हूं।
अरे जिसको देखो दे रहे हैं लोन लोन लोन, और इसको उसको सबको चाहिए लोन लोन लोन। अरे लोन पर लोन, ये कौन सा है लोन? कभी सही इंटरेस्ट तो बोल,
कई छुपी शर्तों का झोल।
अरे स्टॉप, अब हर सपना होगा पूरा जो तेरा है अधूरा, और IIFL फाइनेंस पे है मेरा भरोसा पूरा। गोल्ड से लेकर बिजनेस, पर्सनल से लेकर होम, हर जरूरत को मिलेगा लोन। IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
Dainik Bhaskar Group is now in the top 10 media groups in India. Growth because of our beliefs. Growth because news is sacred.
मैं हूँ आजाद. LIC is proud to be a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, celebrating the 75th anniversary of Indian independence. LIC is committed to work towards every Indian's financial independence.
सीधे सीधे अरे नमस्ते सीधे 99 एकर्स पे है फ्री प्रॉपर्टी लिस्टिंग. घर कल ही लिस्ट किया था और आज लाइन लग गई. 99 एकर्स पे प्रॉपर्टी आएगी, लेने वालों की लाइन लग जाएगी. घर लेना हो या बेचना, 99 एकर्स से ही पूछना.
This is your space.
Play it your way.
With the versatile range of sanitary ware, faucets and tiles by Sarah.
Want dividend-paying companies with a strong growth potential? Invest in the SBI Dividend Yield Fund. Hurry! NFO closes on 6th of March. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Welcome back. Well, it is a solid day and green is the color of the screen at this point in time. We have Adani Enterprises, which is your top gain on the Nifty, so it's up around 7-odd%. We have Power Grid, which is following that, so up around 3-odd%. You can see the margin difference in terms of the gains between the Adani stocks and the others. So that's the kind of momentum that we're seeing within that entire group of stocks. Asian Paints is doing well, so that is contrary to what we are seeing in a couple of these other FMCG stocks, such as Britannia, which in fact was downgraded by CLSA. So Asian Paints is holding up with a gain of around 1.8%. But let's talk about a couple of other stocks. Mahanagar Gas, that one is buzzing in trade today. This is after the acquisition of Unison Enviro. Sonal joins in with the details on this particular one. Vivek, Sonal.
Thank you so much for that. Well, yes, it's a good acquisition that the company has made, and more importantly, it is the first inorganic move made by Mahanagar Gas, which will give a boost to their volumes as well. As you pointed out, they have acquired Unison Enviro Private Limited for 531 crore rupees. It is an all-cash deal, and it is the city gas arm of Ashoka Buildcon. It is done in order to enter new geographical areas for pursuing inorganic growth opportunities. The company does have access to 3 geographical areas comprising of Ratnagiri, there's Chitradurga, Latur, Usmanabad in terms of district reach as well. As far as the financials are concerned, for FY22, the turnover was 89.5 crore rupees. Yes, it has been making losses of around 25 crore rupees, but the revenue growth for the company has been really sharp. ICICI Securities says it's a good acquisition, and some of the industrial and commercial pipeline that is existing in the products in the geographical areas of Unison will be able to aid volumes for Mahanagar Gas to the tune of 0.2 to 0.25 MMSCMD in next 3 to 4 years. That means collectively they will be able to add 1 MMSCMD of volumes to Mahanagar Gas by FY28. They have a buy rating with a target price of 1125 rupees per share. In terms of Citi, they call it an expensive valuation at 6.4 times trailing price to book. However, they see this acquisition very positively. The acquired CGD is still in early growth phases as well, and it could be a good use of cash by improving MGL's growth outlook as well. And it could also change the perception that MGL is not actually aggressive because their volume growth has been quite stagnant. So this will be an addition there, and that's the reason the excitement that we are seeing on the stock as well.
All right, Sonal, thanks a lot for that. So that explains the sort of move that we're seeing on MGL up 6%. But just keep an eye out on a couple of these names which are now reversing a bit. We have Adani Enterprises, which has fallen about 7% from highs, currently closer to the lower end of today's trading range. Adani Ports is the other one, And we've seen a bit of a decline in the metal names as well. So the metals index itself should come up for you, currently trending at the low point of today's trading session. But we do have a couple of other stocks which are buzzing around too. Vivek is tracking Power Grid and Ashoka Buildcon. Vivek?
Well, absolutely right. So, Ashoka Buildcon is the one on the radar first. Now, there are a couple of important developments over here. The first development, of course, is that the company has got a notification of award, and this is for building of Discom infrastructure as far as Bihar is concerned. The other important development is, of course, the MGL acquisition that Sonal just spoke about. This particular acquisition is done through a subsidiary or from a subsidiary of Ashoka Buildcon. Ashoka Buildcon holds 51% in this particular subsidiary, and the 49% remainder is held by a Morgan Stanley infrastructure fund based out of India. So what's actually happened is that Ashoka Buildcon has managed to make a 4x return as far as its initial investment is concerned. So that's an important development for Ashoka Buildcon. Now, talking about Power Grid, some important development. The company has won a bid for 2 Chhattisgarh-based power projects, and the company has received the letter of intent, and these projects are going to be executed on a BOOT basis, that is the build, operate, own, operate, as well as transfer basis. So important development coming in for Power Grid as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that. Let's slip into a quick break. But the market, after a long time, is seeing such a big bump up. So we'll find out whether it's sustainable. What do you do for the rest of the day, considering it's a holiday tomorrow? Ruchit Jain of 5paisa.com will be joining in with some trading strategies in just a bit. Stay tuned.
ए लड़की तेरा नाम क्या है पूछने वाले पूछे तो बता तेरी पहचान क्या है तेरा नाम गूंजेगा तो उठेगा एक तूफान हिलेगी जमीन मचेगा घमासान तेरा नाम गूंजेगा जब हर गली हर मकान में फैलेंगी तेरी बातें हर नुक्कड़ हर दुकान में पीठ पे सजाए घूमेंगे तेरा नाम देखेंगे फिर गेम तेरी छोड़ छाड़ के काम सब पीठ पे सजाए घूमेंगे तेरा नाम देखेंगे फिर गेम
ये है शुरुआत तेरी, अब हर जुबान पे होगी बात तेरी। देखिए पहला टाटा वुमेन्स प्रीमियर लीग 4 मार्च से जियो सिनेमा पर बिल्कुल फ्री।
अपडेट? हाँ। वैसे ये सब तो आपके ऐप पे भी दिख जाता है ना? हाँ। पापा को बताऊंगा। वो फिर भी यहाँ आएंगे। क्यों? पासबुक तो घर पे दिख जाएगा, किंतु उनका जोक्स पे हंसने वाला यहीं मिलेगा।
रिश्ता आपसे है, सिर्फ ऐप से नहीं। फेडरल बैंक, योर परफेक्ट बैंकिंग पार्टनर।
Settle down. Oh yeah, that's it. I've been through the storm, I've been through the rain. I'm still here standing, unshackled the chain. You better buckle up, cause I set my sights. But this bad boy ain't leaving without a fight. Roll it hard and dark, cause there ain't no fire without a spark.
देखो 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 नया टीवी देखो got the veggies from Chotu shop. He gives the right rate.
Yes, Papa.
Decided. 55-inch TV on this wall.
Oh, super. I'll write out the check tomorrow.
No, you don't. I will, with my own money.
Oh, wow. How come?
Look at this advertisement. 30% assured returns on investment. I am also going to invest my money.
So vegetables only from Chotu's shop, but investment advice from anyone? Papa, trusting a stranger's advice is never wise.
But what about the TV?
समझ कर इन्वेस्ट कर।
NSE द्वारा निवेशकों के हित में जारी। अपना कर्तव्य निभाएं, समय पर अपना एडवांस टैक्स जमा कराएं। अपने सम्मान के लिए भी और राष्ट्र निर्माण के लिए भी आपके एडवांस टैक्स से देश का आर्थिक और सामाजिक विकास हो रहा है। महिलाएं अपने सपनों को नया आकाश दे रही हैं। कृषि टेक्नोलॉजी, अस्पताल, सड़कों और पुलों का निर्माण हमारी प्रगति को नई गति दे रहे हैं। आपका कर देश के विकास को सुनिश्चित करता है। अपना एडवांस टैक्स पे एज यू अर्न के आधार पर जमा कराएं। एडवांस टैक्स जमा कराने की आखिरी तारीख 15 मार्च 2023 है। कंपनी, कॉर्पोरेट या वे व्यक्ति जिनकी कर देयता TDS, TCS कटने के बाद 10,000 या उससे अधिक है, वो 15 मार्च 2023 तक अपने अग्रिम कर की किश्त अदा करें। प्रत्येक आय करदाता एक राष्ट्र निर्माता।
हिमालय की गोद से लेकर केरला के बैकवाटर्स तक हमारे फैमिली ने इतना घुमा के हम और घूमना चाहते हैं। थैंक्स टू माय क्लब महिंद्रा मेंबरशिप जो मुझे देता है 80 से भी ज्यादा रिसोर्ट्स और 2000 से भी ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंसेस का मजा। क्यों है ना क्लब महिंद्रा मेंबरशिप फैमिली के लिए एक मस्त चॉइस। क्लब महिंद्रा, वी कवर इंडिया, यू डिस्कवर इंडिया।
Whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation, so I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne, so now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
When our big boss was MD, he used to take care of us.
And our Prince Sahab is busy ensuring his family. Oh, big boss, you?
He's busy obtaining term insurance for his family. After all, office is also our family. Am I right?
Let's close the deal. Thank you. Verma ji, will you have tea with this prince?
LIC's Group Term Assurance Plan takes care of your office family.
Doing well for the market. Look at the IT index go virtually at the high point of trade for that index, led by Infosys as well as TCS. And that's what explains the Nifty doing extremely well, despite the Nifty bank coming marginally off the highs. You know, what a week it has been. We were here staring at the Nifty at 17,255 last Monday. And from last Monday to now, we've seen a rally of almost 500 points on the Nifty. So that's the big data point that we're watching out for right now. The other one is the Nifty Bank. While it's been a big outperformer, up almost 3% in the month of March, today's high on the Nifty Bank is 41671, which coincides perfectly with the 50-day moving average of 41680. So maybe a wee bit of resistance is what the Nifty Bank is facing out there. No such problems for the Nifty. We are seeing put writers be extremely active in trade. So 17,700 put, that's the one in today's trading session itself, has seen almost a crore shares added in open interest for a premium of 35 odd rupees. 17,750 put as well has added almost 50 lakh shares in open interest with a premium of 50 rupees, telling you 17,650 to 17,700 is the support that the street believes we will hold. On the way up, however, because of the niggles that we've seen on the Nifty Bank, 17,800 call writers are extremely active for a premium of 56 rupees. 17,800 plus 56 means 17,856, which coincides with the 50-day moving average on the Nifty. So in essence, you know, the option writers are playing for support at the 20-day moving average, which is 17,700, and resistance at the 50-day moving average, 17,857. Things could get interesting in the last hour of trade, mainly because of the Nifty Financial Services expiry, which usually happens on Tuesday, but tomorrow's a holiday, so that happens today. So to that extent, I'll be watching out for HDFC Twins, ICICI Bank, and Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv. So those will be a bunch of stocks that we'll be watching out for in the last 30 minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll try and get you some technical opinion as well in a bit. But before that, our colleague Yash caught up with the GIC Chairman and Managing Director Devesh Srivastava on the sidelines of this 22nd Global Conferences of Actuaries, and started off by asking him about growth for the life business and the general insurance business after COVID. Here's what he had to say.
Yes, as you correctly said, COVID changed a lot of things. The first thing that we noticed was health insurance, because it put everybody in everyone's heart the fear of, you know, having something to cover. That was a big step forward for us in the Indian insurance industry. We have seen, for some reason, there is a lot of hesitancy, and a product really has to be pushed. Not this time. Everyone thought that a health insurance product is something that they should compulsorily have and should form part of the family budget. Now this for us is a green shoot, that there is a paradigm shift in the thought process of people, especially the middle class, which of course there are cross-border winds that you see foreign TV channels and so on, you do get influenced. But this was one huge step forward, and retail is a sector that grew, which is even better. So today someone who's buying a retail health insurance will buy a householder policy tomorrow, will go on and further that. That leads to greater penetration, and which is important the way we are looking at the country, that mindset ought to change. So that was a very good beginning, I would say, for us. Now to answer specifically your question, yes, Q3 has been very good for us. Our ratios have been very, very satisfying to us as management. Q4, that trend will continue, because what happens, see, in the trade of reinsurance, you have treaty and you have facultative. Now, facultative is a small part. If you see the GIC book, ballpark again, facultative is just about 10% of our entire book. Now, if treaty forms 90% of your book, that treaty renews either on the 1st of April when the domestic market renews or on the 1st of January when the international book renews. Of course, there are bips and bobs here and there which come on 1st July, 1st October, but this is the bulk. Now, if this be the bulk, there are only 2 dates in which you can make some corrections and make something, worthwhile. 1st January, we have seen very heartening. The rates have truly hardened. That is something that we have also witnessed because we write almost 35% of our book is foreign. So that has translated. And 1st April again, we would be expecting, of course, that will now roll over to your next year.
Correct.
So coming to your next year, again, with the amount of push the government has given in the budget for infrastructure, there is going to be a big plus for us in the sector, especially reinsurance, because these big ticket infrastructure projects need reinsurance, and that is where GIC will step in.
Correct. You've listed out so many points which sort of are acting as advantage for you in the market, be it the foreign prices hardening, the prices in India staying at a strong footing, the market itself, retail growing very strong. Taking all of those factors in mind, could you provide us a guidance in terms of the next financial year? Because 1st April rates would have been factored in. What is the growth do you expect on the top line? And out of your segments, which will be the strongest performing segment in your expectation, and what could that look like?
If you look at the 4 sectors that are basically the most important ones, in fact, it is motor and health which form the bulk of the direct insurance. Unfortunately, they do not require much of reinsurance. So the next to become fire and agri. Now, both of these will see a change in the coming 23-24 because in the property segment, as I said earlier, because of the huge impetus being given by the budget for infrastructure, we will see a growth there. For agriculture also, if that new scheme comes in, and now that the companies are also, more and more companies are contemplating writing agriculture, because that is big ticket, that will again see a good growth. For motor, yes, will continue to grow for the direct companies, not as much for GIC. It will largely continue to be our obligatory portfolio. Health will see some traction, movement even in GIC, because the bigger health schemes would require some reinsurance capacity, and GIC is there for supporting the cedants.
Okay, so that's the word coming in on the insurance space. Just want to point out a sudden sharp fall that we've seen in a couple of these Adani stocks. So maybe there is some amount of selling which is coming in at higher levels. To put it into perspective, Adani Enterprises just a couple of minutes ago was up around 7% and now it's up around 2.5% to 3%. So there's been a sudden drop which has taken place in Adani Enterprises, and now you're seeing it recovering from the day's low. But nonetheless, that's the trajectory that you need to follow. Maybe Adani Ports on an intraday basis should come up for you as well. It's currently up around 0.5%, and maybe an intraday chart will tell you more about the kind of volatility that we've seen in Adani Ports, which has seen that sudden knock coming in as well. Let's see how the trajectory follows, but as of now, there seems to be some amount of trepidation probably coming in at higher levels. Need to take a short break, but up next, we'll get you that technical check. Ruchit Jain will be with us.
Ruchit Jain of 5paisa.com is joining us now on the show to help us with the trends for the day. By the way, some of the Adani Group companies are coming off their highs, so don't lose sight of that. Adani Ports is off its highs, Adani Enterprises as well. So there's a lot of volatility that you're seeing at the moment. But the rest of the market is intact. Ruchit, welcome to the show. Do you think this, this level, actually we've conquered the 20 DMA as well. Do you think this 17,750 level is sustainable? And what are the stocks to look at for the rest of the day?
Yeah, hi, very good afternoon. Well, I think the way data is changed in last couple of trading sessions, the momentum seems to have turned on the positive side now. Well, we had about 8 to 9 straight trading sessions of correction where the FIS data was very oversold. As on Thursday last week, FIS had about 160,000 short contracts with 85% of the positions on the short side. Now, similarly, similar situation was seen last year in June 2022 as well, when the markets have dipped towards that 15,200 mark. FIS had about 165,000 contracts on the short side with long positions only about 13-14%. And then we witnessed a good short covering move, which led the index from 15,200 to 17,000. I think similarly on Friday session, we have started that short covering move by the FIS front. Their number of short contracts have reduced by about 31,000 contracts in Friday session, and their long short ratio has improved from 15% to 23%. So this short covering from this FIS could lead to some more up move, since still about 77% are on the short side. And technically, if I take just a bit retracement of this entire correction of last couple of months, then 38.2% retracement would come around 17,880, and 50% retracement would be somewhere around 18,070. So I think these are the levels that one should target for near term. Any decline towards this 17,600 again should be used as a good buying opportunity. So for the index front, we would take a buy on dip approach now. Any declines towards 17,640, 17,600 would be ideally a good range to enter fresh longs in the Nifty.
All right, Ruchi, thanks a lot for that. So that's about the markets. Individual stocks though, what do you have on your list for us?
Yeah, only a couple of buy recommendations which I would recommend from here on. One is a buy call in Cholamandalam investment, where a good price volume action have been seen in last 2 or 3 months, where price up moves have been supported by good volumes and corrections were on very low volumes. So one can go long at current market price with stop loss below 773 for target somewhere around 810. And Asian Paints would be my second pick, where we are expecting a pullback move. The stock has managed to hold on to its weekly supports off late, and after some consolidation, prices are witnessing a breakout from swing high resistances today. So one can go long for this. It will be just for a pullback move. One can go long with stop loss below 2810 for potential targets of 2945 first, followed by 3000.
Okay. All right, Ruchit, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us all of your views. Technically, we need to take a short break, but up next, I'll in fact be putting the focus on compliance woes of Indian pharma companies. Stay tuned.
What if you were an apparel company facing an avalanche of demand? So you call IBM to automate your IT infrastructure. And now your e-commerce platform can handle spikes in orders. Let's create IT systems that roll up their own sleeves. IBM, let's create.
When it all began, I had only a few runs on the scoreboard and fewer spectators in the stands. And then what? I worked harder, and that's how from Saurav, I became. When you live up to expectations, then winning people's trust is possible. And trust results in Bandhan. Like Bandhan Bank, aapka bhala, sabki bhalai.
Dainik Bhaskar Group is now in the top 10 media groups in India. Growth because of our beliefs. Growth because news is sacred.
Suresh.
Yes, brother?
Please take care of it, huh?
Sure, I'll do it.
Really? You're concerned for it even if you're going to the village for just 2 days. But you never think about us this way.
Everything will be fine. My Rickshaw Union Group has taken LIC's Group Micro-Term Assurance Plan. Papa! Wow! Now no matter what, my family will keep moving forward.
Get LIC's Group Micro-Term Assurance Plan. Keep your family secure.
जब दोस्त इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल की लाइन में लग रहे थे तो मैंने फैशन डिजाइनिंग की राह पकड़ ली। फैमिली ने कहा, दर्जी बनोगे क्या? अब दर्जी ही सही, बनूंगा अपनी मर्जी से।
सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल आपके इसी अंदाज को सल्यूट करता है। इंडिपेंडेंट फ्लोर्स फॉर द इंडिपेंडेंट यू।
देखो देखो देखो, नया टीवी देखो। Got the veggies from Chotu's shop? He gives the right rate.
Yes, Papa.
Decided. 55-inch TV on this wall.
Oh, super. I'll write out the check tomorrow.
No, you don't. I will, with my own money.
Oh, wow. How come?
Look at this advertisement. 30% assured returns on investment. I am also going to invest my money.
So vegetables only from Chotu's shop, but investment advice from anyone? Papa, trusting a stranger's advice is never wise.
But what about the TV?
सोच कर समझ कर इन्वेस्ट कर
Welcome back. The Nifty banks are the low point of trade, led lower by all the PSU banks. So SBI is the one that should come up for you, which is pressurizing the PSU bank index along with the Nifty bank as well. The PSU bank index is at the low point too. But the post-COVID-19 period seems to have gotten tough for Indian pharmaceutical companies from a compliance perspective. Ekta Batra caught up with some compliance experts, including the US FDA officials at BioAsia, and she's standing by with some key takeaways of that meeting. Ekta.
Thanks for that. Well, yes, there have been around 60 official action indicated status issued from November 2020 to 2022 and around 20 import alerts issued from 2020 to 2023 to Indian companies, including the likes of Sun Pharma and Glenmark. So what has resulted in this uptake and what are the key trends when it comes to quality and compliance in India? India, according to compliance experts, has some of the best facilities and are subject to the same type of inspection seen globally. However, the reason for the uptake in the regulatory action post-COVID-19 on Indian plants is possibly due to a combination of a higher volume of inspections due to a backlog and also unresolved and fresh deficiencies in facilities. Data integrity is not an India issue. However, regulators continue to find data integrity issues, which sometimes is not only about falsifying data, but can also be about not reporting data accurately. Hence, data integrity can be linked to basic issues such as incomplete records to forging of signatures. Data integrity in a plant points to the lack of a strong internal audit program. The US drug regulator points to the fact that they find data integrity issues not only across pharma products, but across other commodities such as food and clinical trials that they oversee in the country. One of the reasons for it, they say, is due to the lack of understanding of procedures by people who are executing the tasks. Sometimes there is a lack of culture to accept or make mistakes, which results in falsifying or even hiding data. Now, one of the key issues has been why do regulatory standards differ between regulators? While a plant is cleared by the US FDA, the same isn't by the UK MHRA. That is possibly due to differing compliance standards between regulators. For example, even if a company adopts global standards such as PICS and ICH, the enforcement of the standards differ. So what are some of the steps towards remediation? Regulators point out that there has to be more empowerment given to employees. With an environment of feedback and free-flowing dialogue within companies, critical information is exchanged. Also, changing the duality of the mindset when it comes to manufacturing for India and for developed countries like the US.
Okay, Ekta, thanks a lot for that. We'll slip into a quick break on that note, but on the other side, Manisha Gupta will be joining in. She'll have her eye on the commodity space. David Lennox, the analyst at Fat Profits, will be with us. Stay tuned.
लड़की तेरा नाम क्या है पूछे वाले पूछे तो बता तेरी पहचान क्या है तेरा नाम गूंजेगा तो उठेगा एक तूफान हिलेगी जमीन मचेगा घमासान तेरा नाम गूंजेगा जब हर गली हर मकान देखेंगे फिर गेम तेरी से
ये है शुरुआत तेरी अब हर जुबान पे होगी बात तेरी देखिए पहला टाटा वुमेन्स प्रीमियर लीग 4 मार्च से जियो सिनेमा पर बिल्कुल फ्री
Indiabulls Housing Finance Limited announces a public issue of secured redeemable NCDs, offering coupon rate of up to 10.15% per annum and additional incentive of 0.25% per annum. Tranche 5 issue is open for subscription. To subscribe, log on to indiabullshomeloans.com. For risk factors and more details, refer to Tranche 5 prospectus available on websites of SEBI, Stock Exchange, Company and Lead Managers.
इस साल यूरोप चले?
अरे पहले प्रॉपर्टी तो बिक जाए।
एक बड़ी गाड़ी तो ले ही सकते हैं ना?
पहले अपनी प्रॉपर्टी तो बिक जाए।
नो ब्रोकर पर चड्डा अंकल की प्रॉपर्टी 2 हफ्ते में बिक गई।
प्रॉपर्टी बेचनी है तो नो ब्रोकर पर फ्री में घर लिस्ट करो, जहां लाखों प्रॉपर्टीज बिकती हैं।
For how long will you continue being tensed about the future? With LIC's new Pension Plus, make your own pension plan because this plan creates market-linked wealth for your future. Moreover, this plan comes with guaranteed additions and also offers various options for receiving pension so that you grow young and tension-free. LIC, हर पल आपके साथ.
एक वक्त था जब हम घड़ी सिर्फ वक्त देखने के लिए खरीदते थे. आज धड़कनों का हिसाब भी घड़ी रखती है. फोन खरीदते थे कि अपनों से बात हो जाए, पर आज पूरी दुनिया फोन में रखते हैं. घड़ी हो या फोन, वक्त के साथ सब कुछ स्मार्ट हो गया है. और आपके घर खरीदने का डिसीजन, क्योंकि आप सिर्फ घर नहीं चुनते, आप चुनते हैं अच्छा आस पड़ोस, बेटर कनेक्टिविटी, बेटर कंस्ट्रक्शन और सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी टाइम से पहले डिलीवरी का भरोसा. तो करना है अगर अपने घर का सिलेक्शन, सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल है ना, ले लीजिए स्मार्ट डिसीजन.
चाचू, आज मैं पायलट हूँ because you believed in me. Thank you, चाचू.
I believe in one more thing.
क्या?
कि तू मुझे एक अच्छी अदरक वाली चाय पिलाएगी.
सच्चा दोस्त वही जो आपके बारे में सोचे. पर्सनल लोन्स फ्रॉम IDBI बैंक. बैंक ऐसा, दोस्त जैसा.
क्या हुआ रोहन, क्या सोच रहा है?
रिया, पहली सैलरी मिली है, तुम भी कुछ आइडिया दो. एक्सपेंसेस को कैसे प्लान किया जाए?
रोहन, एक्सपेंसेस के साथ साथ इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान करना भी जरूरी है.
देखो, सैलरी का कुछ हिस्सा घर के रेगुलर खर्चे के लिए और कुछ मैं अपने लिए भी तो सोच सकता हूँ ना. लेकिन इन्वेस्ट कहाँ करूँ?
सिंपल है, एनपीएस में.
एनपीएस में? रिया, अभी तो मैंने कमाना शुरू किया है. इतना आगे के लिए अभी से क्यों पैसे जोड़ूं?
वो देखो, एक एक करके ईंट जोड़ी जाती है, तब जाके एक घर तैयार होता है. वैसे ही अभी से पैसे जोड़कर हम भी अपना रिटायरमेंट सुखी बना सकते हैं.
बात में तो दम है.
एनपीएस कम लागत वाली फ्लेक्सिबल लॉन्ग टर्म योजना है, जिससे आपकी बचत ग्रो होकर पेंशन का लाभ देती है.
अच्छा, फिर तो मैं अभी अपना एनपीएस अकाउंट ओपन करता हूँ.
जो कल की सोचते हैं वो आज से ही थोड़ा थोड़ा जोड़ते हैं.
पेंशन है तो टेंशन नहीं. एनपीएस में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है.
Want dividend paying companies with a strong growth potential? Invest in the SBI Dividend Yield Fund. Hurry, NFO closes on 6th of March. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is David Lennox, analyst at Fat Profits. David, hi, thank you so much for joining us. And the weekend has been quite busy, by the way, with China's annual meeting of the National Party Congress. They have come out with a lower demand growth expectations at 5%. It was 3% last year, but the street was expecting 5.5 to 6% of a target from China, but they haven't delivered that. I mean, we clearly are waiting to see what numbers do we see going forward. But what's your sense? And the immediate reaction clearly has been some decline or profit taking in metals.
Oh, look, yes, there's no doubt about it. The markets have got itself somewhat hyped up to perhaps a 6% growth rate coming out of China. And as you said, Manisha, we've only seen that 5% growth rate predicted now. But look, overall, we still think that that's a very good number when you have a look at the size of China now compared to the size of China some 15 years ago. It wouldn't have made much of a difference then, but it certainly does now. So yes, it would have been nice to see that stronger growth, but it probably is better to have more sustainable and manageable growth at 5% than perhaps seeing growth get out of control, as we've seen perhaps in the early 2000s when China was growing very rapidly. So look, overall, yes, the markets will cut back a little bit because that expectation was higher, but it wasn't met. But overall, we think it is probably a much better number to work with going forward, and that's going to give some predictability, if you can say that, around resources, about demand growth going forward, and that's what's going to really be of interest to our big mining companies.
Also, David, when you look at various metals, I mean, last week was a good one. We saw 2 to 3.5% of gains on copper, aluminum, zinc, tin even. The markets were dealing with the dollar index, which was low, the Chinese PMI numbers, which came in much better than expectation. Is it really going to be a week on week, or do you see a directional move coming in for metal prices? How do you see March panning out?
Look, certainly if you have a look at March, we think there is going to be a lot of, as we've seen with the Chinese predictions for growth, there's going to be a lot of reaction to instant news, and that's going to be somewhat of a problem when looking at directions. However, you've got to look at the overall markets and would suggest that we haven't seen oil at this point capitulate in any way. So that would tend to imply to us that there is certainly a very good underlying demand there that's keeping the oil prices from slipping further south. And if that's the case, and we do start to see some, let's say, more consistent numbers coming out of China and out of the US regarding growth there, then one would suggest that we should see the oil price move to the upside. But I wouldn't be backing that completely, because as soon as we see any news that is to the contrary, we've seen oil prices give up quite a lot of ground. So expect volatility is what I'm saying. That's probably going to be the key driver, but perhaps just a touch of the upward in that volatility.
Going forward, David, I mean, this week or this month brings us a lot of data. You have monetary policy meetings from Australia and Canada. You have a non-farm payroll data. China inflation numbers also come in today. Actually, the trade numbers as well. That is expected in this week also. And then you have the US Fed meeting also happening in the month of March. What is it that you would want to watch out for if you were to take a directional trade? Would you buy metals at these lower levels? How would you want to shape up your trade?
Look, I think at this stage we'd be probably holding a fairly neutral position. We wouldn't be wanting to go into buying metals, but we would be very quickly moving one way or the other. Look, we really do believe that the key takeaway is not going to be the action of the Fed to moving rates. It's going to be what's in their minutes when they come out. That's really going to be what's going to fire up markets one way or the other. And we're all well aware markets have been looking for some sort of dovish stance or some dovish call coming out of the Fed. If that's the case, then we'll see strong markets because the US dollar is going to weaken, and that would push us into being buyers. If the other comes out and we see a more hawkish stance, then that's unfortunately going to take the other way. So really you're going to have to be patient and just watch for those key data calls and move when you see them, and move very quickly. It's going to be a volatile market, and unfortunately finding that direction, perhaps again uppish, but finding that direction could be somewhat difficult for another few weeks.
All right, we get that. David, also, how are you looking at the crude oil prices? You talked about that, and as you also said that we haven't seen higher highs come in for crude. 86 is where it seems to be getting resistance at. That and also the dollar index, because that also will tell us on where many of these dollar-denominated commodities would be headed.
Oh, look, yes, there's no doubt about it. We've seen that US dollar index. It had rolled over in the earlier part of this year. It is now somewhat stronger, and that's been on the sheer back of the Federal Reserve saying, no, we're going to continue lifting rates. So markets have built in a widening interest rate differential in the currency, and that's pushed it up. As I've said already, if you do see something different coming out of the Fed at its next FOMC meeting, that will certainly send the cat amongst the pigeons, and we will see that US dollar weaken. The metrics are there for the US dollar to weaken, but it just hasn't given up ground yet. So we're thinking that it probably will towards the latter part of this year, but we do need to get the Fed tightening cycle somewhat now behind us so that we can see an end in light for interest rate rises, and then that allows other currencies to narrow the interest rate differential and the US dollar fall. So that's the direction we're looking for, but it hasn't happened to date.
Well, yes, it is a difficult year, isn't it, David? Thank you so much, as always, for joining us and throwing light on what really to watch out for when it comes to commodities, the US Fed and the dollar index as well. But with that, it's a wrap on Halftime Report. Business Lunch will take all the action ahead.